Shropshire Council and its partners are working with more communities across the county to explore a new way of designing and delivering services. Different ways of working are being developed which recognise that partners can work better together to shape services for each community and its particular needs and challenges. This local commissioning approach is being extended after being piloted in Church Stretton. County leaders joined together in July to give their backing to the ongoing development of this approach in Church Stretton and beyond. They had met earlier in the year, in April, to plan the different ways of delivering services in Church Stretton. They had discussed statistical data, financial information and heard people's real-life stories before agreeing to explore 3 prototypes over 8 weeks. Here, the prototype leads outline what the work involved.
My name's Erica Garner, I work for Shropshire Council and I'm involved in the reducing unemployment in Church Stretton. The prototype is looking at how can we engage with local people who find themselves out of work so we can give them a much more tailored support and approach. We're using local mentors to support people directly.
My name's Chris Edwards. I'm the Area Commissioner for South Shropshire and I've been involved in the Stretton Pride prototype over the last 8 weeks. There's an enforcement element looking at how agencies can work together to improve enforcement around dog fouling, litter, crime and antisocial behaviour. Part of the prototype was looking at the adoption of unadopted roads in Church Stretton. The final prototype is related to highways maintenance and the hedge-to-hedge prototype that's now been rolled out across Shropshire. Hedge-to-hedge is a prototype where the highways maintenance team do everything in a street in one pass to do things better, faster and cheaper, doing a permanent repair as they go.
Hello, my name's Kerry Allwood and I'm a service manager in adult services at Shropshire Council. I'm here to talk to you about Prototype 3. Prototype 3 is a locality commissioning project. The project is around living independently in Church Stretton. The premise of the prototype is around developing a community conversation whereby individuals can develop an ageing well plan to help them to maintain their independence for longer in the community. So we developed a multidisciplinary team consisting of a social worker, housing benefits officer and occupational therapist. We then developed the community conversation tool to be used with individuals when having that conversation with that professional. And the conversation was very much an asset-based approach. So what we were looking to do is identify what an individual could actually bring to their community, as well as what their needs were. So we were able to support an individual in being a more active member of their community.
Before leaders gave their commitment to extending the local commissioning approach, they heard about the impact of the work in Church Stretton. George Candler, Director of Commissioning at Shropshire Council, set the scene.
So what you'll hear has been achieved in 8 weeks. Not 3 months, not 6 months, but 8 weeks. And I suppose my challenge back is think what we could do if we were given a bit more freedom.
The leaders heard from people who had been helped by the teams during the 8 weeks. Colette was helped as part of the prototype supporting people into work.
As I say, I've worked since I was 16. I'm not an academic of any sort, but I've always had really high ethics of work. I've loved working. I wouldn't have believed how difficult it was being unemployed. You are just a number and you're just constantly rejected. And that, to me, I was thinking, I'm somebody who's had a great history of work. I've got past employers that would have me back tomorrow. I've got, people who would give me references, endless references. How do other people feel? I wasn't unemployed for very long, but I did get a heck of a lot of paperwork. And I began to think maybe I could just use these to play snap with the kids in the end, with the grandkids, because I was gaining so many of the same sort of things.
You told us very, very passionately about how that made you feel, if you like, the current way of working. And obviously you then came into contact with a team based at the Mayfair. So can you tell us about what was different and how that made you feel?
That made me feel as though somebody was really caring, somebody really wanted to listen. Obviously I got the top notch, didn't I? But, I didn't know that at the time. And I do think one of the things that I think I needed was somebody who couldn't necessarily help me get a job. I mean, I can remember saying to you when I first met you, because again, that time that I had to go there, the call I got was almost like you're on job seekers, you don't have a choice about this. And I was like, I'm happy to go. It was almost, I know they must come across people who aren't interested, don't want to go. But how do they know? Maybe it's from something that's happened before. It's a lot of the approach. Then get, a bit stronger with them, but give them the chance, first of all, to sort of say yes. And I didn't feel that was the case. It was, well, you have to go, and then the letter comes out again, sort of saying you have to go as part of the job seekers, da-da-da-da-da. And, I didn't need so much help with looking for a job. I was capable of doing that. But I did need a sounding board and somebody occasionally that might have had an experience that can guide me. Because trying to speak to people is very, very difficult who do know. And also, I believe that the people that are supposed to know, due to there being so much of it, they don't always know themselves. They know what the sort of everyday bits, that are repetitive, but they can't always answer it themselves. And they can't always help you. And that's when I say that the manner of the letters, the manner of the people that are talking to you. If you've got the mentor, I think you're building up a relationship right from the beginning if you have got a mentor. And that's why I do think that is a brilliant idea. And I'm really happy to help. I know it can also be quite heavy going because not everybody does want to work. But I'd love to be able to, I'm sure there's people who don't understand, who've never been at work, who don't understand the worth that can give you, even if it's making other bits hard financially.
I think, can we just say to everyone that Colette has volunteered very quickly to be not on a plan, but said quite the
If I'd known this bit, I might not have done.
that she's going to be a mentor for future people who we're going to support, because there's nothing like somebody being in that position, with that experience, to help people through whatever stage of unemployment they might be at.
The teams themselves also shared the benefits they found by working in new ways. Here they summarise some of them.
We have had some quite significant achievements. We've had around 10 people that we've been supporting into work, which is above the local average when you look at the job centre statistics. We've been able to reduce the time that people have been unemployed, and that's a really big plus for the individual, for the family, and also for the community.
I think the main benefits that's been achieved in the 8 weeks are definitely a strengthening of the relationships in Church Stretton and partnership working between all the agencies, and there's been a huge amount of learning as part of that.
And the local multidisciplinary holistic approach, that was working really well, and the professionals were benefiting from acting in that multidisciplinary way. It was challenging their professional boundaries, and as a result, this user or the customer had a better experience as a result of having those conversations in that with those professionals. What also was working well is that information was being shared locally between partners, and we were able to benefit from that local intelligence amongst partners, and that helped us to identify who the people that needed the greatest support were. One of the other key elements of learning that we found from the prototype is that there were some key interventions that we believe were successful in maintaining an individual's independence for longer. This will be identified through that holistic independence assessment that we could have with an individual. Some of the support mechanisms that we thought would be of benefit to individuals would be assistive technology, equipment, minor works, social integration, support around active and healthy living, financial advice, and importantly home safety advice, support around fire safety and trips and hazards in the home.
Grace Towers, who worked on this prototype with Kerry, shares one of these examples.
The team worked differently with Mr Bowdler compared to the current system. Is Mr Bowdler wouldn't actually be seen in the current system because he's not fax legible, which means he doesn't have substantial critical needs. Also, Mr Bowdler, when he went into hospital, would normally be assessed in hospital by a social worker there rather than at home, which is what we've done because our team is familiar with his home environment and understands his needs that way greater. Also, all of the actions that we've done for Mr. Bowdler would previously have been done while he was sitting in a hospital bed. We've also been able to do it really swiftly, so all of the actions have gone in within 5 working days, for example, all the assistive technology. And also Mr. Bowdler's feeling much more supported as he goes in towards his operation.
As well as improving how organisations meet people's needs, the prototypes highlighted that by working together differently, they could make savings in the long term.
DWP, the Worklessness Co-Design Interim Report, gives a cost of £7,800 per head. 7,800 per head, so which, if times by 10, comes to 78,000. So those 10 people, by moving off JSA, not claiming job seekers allowance anymore, then open up that 78,000 exchequer savings.
But it isn't just about JSA money, in employment or ESA money, it's those hidden, the other charges and costs that the community are bearing when people are unemployed. So it is a significant saving for everybody.
The hedge-to-hedge prototype delivered a reduction in end-to-end times for repairing defects and also reduced the cost per defect in Church Stretton.
What we identified by having this approach was that there were some significant savings that we felt that we could make. Those savings would be generated through preventing more costly services later on in an individual's journey. We looked at 3 individuals in a great detail, and what we found is that those individuals, through a fall or an accident at home, they had received support from health and social care. What we felt was that by providing some low-level support around preventing falls, that we could potentially save those costs from occurring in the future.
While acknowledging that there were lessons to be learned, and looking as if any refinements could strengthen the work, the leaders agreed that the new ways of working had shown that it was possible to remove duplication, support people more quickly and effectively, and make better use of the funds and resources available. Here, George Candler summarises the new areas this local commissioning approach is being extended to, and leaders share their enthusiasm for taking the next steps.
The work that we started here in Church Stretton, which is looking at all of the data in terms of a community, and then honing that down. We've started in Oswestry, in the north of the county, and Wem, and we're about to start in Craven Arms, which is just down the road, as we know. And we had the operational leads giving an overview of that and talking about some of the themes that are already starting to come out of that in Oswestry around economic development and substance misuse. We also talked about a particular ward in Shrewsbury and the work that was starting there about giving children the best start in life, and Carolyn, the operational lead for that, talked through progress made to date on that, and we concluded with Tom Dodds, who talked about the falls prevention work that he's kick-started with a broad range of partners, and how that's very much playing into the work that the team are already doing here in Church Stretton. And Neil also updated on the work that we've been doing for about 6 months in Whitchurch around the community hospital, the Bradbury Day Centre and the Beech Tree Community Centre, and looking at a specific piece of work around community hospital discharges, and Neil obviously is the operational lead as well for WEM, so just touch very briefly on that.
I think that what we've achieved so far is fantastic, and without it being loving, I think you guys have done a fantastic job, and everyone has. We can achieve wonders, but only if we do it together. And that's the truth. And we're not doing it for me or for you, we're doing it for the people of Shropshire. And the best thing about me, actually, was the young lady who came and stood up here. She was holding her notes and she was shaking. You know? And she might have got a job pretty soon afterwards if we hadn't done anything. But she got a job early, and now she's an advocate for what we're doing and a mentor. And I think, for me, that was the best bit about the whole day, and the whole 2 days, actually. And if we can do that for one person, then we can actually do it for all of Shropshire.
It's been very exciting to see the involvement of all of the different agencies and to see that there is light at the end of the tunnel, there are ways that we can work together, and there's a real appetite for all of us to align our energy.
But the process of innovation and creativity is one I think that's vital at a time when the temptation is for all to retrench, go back, draw in behind definitions, draw in behind, that's not my role, that's not your role. This is absolutely vital to it, and I'm really thinking this is a journey, and whilst we've made some good steps starting it, my organisation will play a bigger part as time goes by.